Hello all, my name is Prajapati, working as a technical lead in Sufalam Technologies. Today, we are going to discuss what is multi-tenant architecture. So before going to discuss what is multi-tenant architecture, let me tell you what is a tenant. So tenant is basically a group of users or our target audience who is going to use the end user application is called tenant. Now, what is multi-tenant architecture? Multi-tenant architecture is a software or a database management architecture in which a single software instance can serve multiple users. Here, each multiple users called the tenants. Tenants have some measures of customization for set resources, like controlling which users can access the resource or how the application looks and feels, which is most important for the end users. Multi-tenant is a key feature of the cloud environment. Today, we are going to see what are the types of multi-tenants, what are the using of benefits of multi-tenant, and how to use the multi-tenant. So I know it's a boring slide and a boring definition for you. So let me give you a simple example using this image. This is the main difference between a single tenant and the multi-tenant architecture. Here you can see the main difference is for the application. Here is our source code or business logic we have written in a technologies. Here are the app instances, the end user who is going to use the application. And this is our database in red, black, and blue. So you can use the multiple app instance, multiple database, but the main business logic or the main source code is only one. Now let's discuss the types of multi-tenant. There are mainly three types of multi-tenants: multi-tenancy with single multi-tenant database, multi-tenancy with one database per tenant, and the third one is a multiple app instance with the multiple database. The first one is the multi-tenancy with single multi-tenant database. This type of architecture is also known as shared database. This is the first and simple type of multi-tenancy. With the use of this application, there are only one app instance and the single database app instance to host the tenant. If I give you an example, there is only app instance one, and all the tenants database are integrated in a one database only. This architecture is highly scalable, and when more tenants are added, the database easily scale up with the more data storage. And at the database level, you need to take only one column to store the tenant ID, to identifying the data that which data is belong to which tenant. Let me give an example of this. This is the example of first type of multi-tenant architecture. There are only, you can see in the image, there are only one app instance and it's considered only one database. In this database, all the tenants data are stored. The another one is multi-tenancy with one database per tenant. In this type of multi-tenant, it's use a single application as per the previous type, but here the database are separate for each tenant. Inside the main server, we have separate databases dedicated to only serve the specific tenants. By using this type of architecture, you can achieve the highest level of tenant isolation and data security. For that, data remains invisible to other users. Here is the app instance is only single, but the database are different for the each tenants. You can see in the image that tenant A, tenant B, tenant C are the separates, but the main source code at the front end for the user app instance is the same, remains same. The third one is the highly and widely used, the multiple app instance with a multiple database. In this type, every tenant has a separate app instance for the application with the separate database. The architecture is highly secure in compared to previous type of architectures. Tenants has a full control over the instance as the instance are separate. And in this architecture, there are the main three architectures. You can customize your architecture as per your project's requirement. Here are third type of architecture. Here you can see there are multiple app instance with the single app source code and the multiple databases. So here are the main types. Now, what are the benefits of using multi-tenant? So there are, the first one is a more efficient. If you talk about in terms of the reduce the need of individual users to manage the infrastructure and handle the updates and maintenance. Like if you can see, there are the multiple app instances running in a production server. So if you need to provide any feature or any updates or any maintenance, you need to update all that instance. But by using the multi-tenant, it need to only apply on a one single instance. So it will reflect all the front instance and the backend part also. Individual tenants can rely on the central cloud provider, as I say, rather than their own teams to handle those routine costs. Another is a fast deployment. You can simple the process by adding a new tenants and by reducing the manual setup and then release the application. Convenient maintenance. Every change made in your software, such as configuration, database updates, release, user provisioning, will reflect each tenant by only a single maintenance. Efficient resource. Set all the resources offering the optimum efficiency and the capacity to power multiple users at once, because it's a dynamic environment where users access resource are simultaneously. And it's the most beneficiary to use with the cloud environment, like the AWS and any other web services are available. Now we have discussed the types of multi-tenant, what are the multi-tenant, what are the benefits of using multi-tenant, but how to integrate the multi-tenant. So mainly there are two level changes. First is a database level changes. In a database level changes, you need to create a one table called tenant. And you can take columns as a ID as a primary key, and the other fields like name, contact, configurations, tenant information as per your requirement. And for the other tables, you need to take a foreign key called tenant ID to identify for the data is belong to which tenant. And for the code level changes, you can filter the tenant specific data by using a middleware or a header. In that, you need to identify the tenant ID, so you can identify the actual data of the tenant. And for the media files, you can create a separate folder based on the tenants, so you can easily and the faster management. In the video description, we have provided all the details, so you can reach us by that, and you can contact us to create and update your application with the multi-tenant. So here are the application in your daily routine you are using, which are on a multi-tenant platform. The first one is Gmail, Shopify, Dropbox, and AWS. Many more are using the multi-tenant architecture. You can get back to us on Facebook, LinkedIn, GitHub, YouTube, Twitter. You can write any your concern query. We will get back to you soon. I know this is the very short presentation for the multi-tenant. After all, multi-tenant is the entire backend architecture, cannot be elaborated in a 5 minutes. So you can get back to us. Thank you. Stay tuned for the next video.